Neil, how frustrated are you that you've got to come to Needham Market tomorrow morning? Tomorrow morning, I suppose you'll be driving down.
Yeah, no, that's it's gone now. You can't carry it over too long, or you're never going to get on with stuff. Listen, we're all disappointed with the result because the last thing we needed was a replay, as we know. But we're in the hat, and we've got to go and put it right now. And you have to move on. You get used to the fact the schedule's going to change, and you've got a long journey ahead of you, and then you've got to travel to Eastleigh. But that's sort of our own doing. So man up. Get on with it, no moaning, and we've now got Saturday, Saturday, so we've got to get through them games.
Typical as well, as you mentioned, it comes the week when you've got your longest trip of the season at the end of the week. How has that affected? Have you had to rejig over the weekend what you're going to do this week?
Yeah, of course. I'm more frustrated the fact that we needed these 2 weeks of training to do work on the training field and fitness work and stuff like that, which is sort of been messed up a bit. But like I say, it is what it is. The FA Cup's important to us. We've got to do our very best to win the game tomorrow. We've obviously got to look at the weekend's game. We've got to look at the bodies, who was tired, fatigued, had niggles after Saturday, and we might have to change a few bits and bobs here or there and put some fresh legs in. But that's for me to decide over the next couple of days.
Because you never looked as though you were going to lose on Saturday, so I suppose at least you are still in the cup. That is the positive. You didn't want to lose on Saturday, did you?
No, of course we didn't. We absolutely wanted a win. But the frustration from me comes. I'm sure the fans were frustrated, but that we didn't see them off. The frustration for me was when you work on stuff on the training field and then kind of you go, well, particularly in the first half, like where was the stuff that the messages that I gave you on the training field? The runs, the penetration, the movement, the speed of the ball. It was all missing, and I just think players, probably for a change, enjoyed having the ball, and everyone started to want to think they were a player, and they forgot what the team shape and ethic and patterns were, and we ended up becoming too easy to play against.
Do you ask the players those questions then? Why they think it didn't work, go to plan? And if so, are they able to give you answers?
I do ask a lot. I challenge the players a lot. I didn't on Saturday. I was angry and I told them why they didn't. I knew the answers. I didn't need to tell them. But
it's important that they know themselves as well, isn't it?
Yeah, they do, and they'll always. We always come away from it trying to work on. Today we did loads of individual work with units, with groups to talk about. In them situations, what we got to do better. But again, it comes back to raising standards, so everything I'm trying to do on the training field, with the facilities, with the food, with the nutrition, with the training, with the fitness, with the, you name it, the preparation, is to raise standards, because we needed to, with where we were at the start of the season and the way we were playing and our results. And we have to a degree as far as the results. Have we become a really good team? No, I don't think so. Are we getting better? Yes. But I'm driving a lot of this, and they've got to start driving it a little bit, and that comes from the consistency of the performances and the fact that we are getting fitter and stronger, and you can see because we've scored a lot more late goals, but the players have got to sort of come on that journey and drive the standards a bit more, and it's very, very difficult and frustrating when the performances are up and then they're down and then they're up, and you're not sure what you're going to get, and we need to get a consistency in that.
Do you think then you've maybe tried to do too much too quickly if you talk about all those other parts of the football club you're trying to organise at the same time?
It's one of them. I'm up here, my family, my wife's sort of coming up flipping fits and starts at the moment, so I'm up here and I'm on my own, I've got this time, so I'm just kind of throwing myself into it and spending every minute of every day thinking about it. So, but the owners, there's lots to do, and the owners knew that, and the good thing is, you've got new owners, new manager, new staff with Neil Cox. We're trying to get new sports science, new general manager. There's loads of new, so there's no kind of, this isn't how it's normally done. It's kind of all a bit fresh, and everyone's working towards the same goal. So lots to do. I just want to raise the standards on the pitch, or it'll be a long season.
We didn't really get a chance to talk to you about your team selection on Saturday. Can I ask you a question first of all about the goalkeeper, Rory Watson? Is he now your first choice going forward as things stand today, or if that had been a league game at the weekend, would you have still picked? Would you have picked Ryan?
No, I'm looking at the goalies. I'm not sure I've got a first choice. If I'm honest, I'm looking at David Stockdale's sort of beginning to edge back out into the training field. So it's a position we're looking closely at. As you know, some positions you've got a little bit of strength in depth, and you're trying to work out. You know, it's like with Scott Burgess. You know, he couldn't get a look in early because I looked at them players, but when some weren't delivering, I had a look at Scott. He come off the bench, trained well, did great off the bench, and now I'm having a look to see whether he can regularly fit into the way we want to do things. And I think Rory's been given an opportunity. Let's see.
Was Paddy injured, not available?
Yeah, Paddy had, I think he had a slight groin from the Bromley game, but also he's got a slight Achilles, which sometimes causes his groin. So, but he trained today. Got to see whether we think he's ready to just go straight back into 90, but especially with the games we've got coming up. But both him and Callum Howe trained today, so that's quite refreshing to have a little bit more options because there's one or two niggles out there.
Anyone then who was in the squad on Saturday who definitely won't travel or won't be available tomorrow?
There might be a couple now. I've got them two available. I've only been out for a short period of time, so there might be a couple that were in the squad that might not be in the squad. That's what we're just counting the bodies and looking and analysing training, then looking at the balance of what the bench might be if we go with a certain lineup.
Do you feel now as though you know quite a lot about Needham Market on Saturday, and your players more importantly know a lot about Needham Market and their strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, but to be fair, I did anyway. It was very hard to get footage on them and stuff, but I did everything I can to. So on Friday when we prepped, we had their shape right, we had their starting lineup right, we had the way they would try and play right. We knew that we might have a little bit more ball if we were good enough with it, which we did. We just forgot all the other stuff that we worked on in training.
Do you think, from that perspective, it'll be a pretty similar game tomorrow night, or do you think because they're at home, they might?
Yeah.
I know it's only going to be a small crowd, but they may have a bit more crowd behind them and want to get further forward.
Yeah, maybe they do. Maybe they're going to come at us and go for us. They're the home team and try and get an early lead. I never really set the team up for one certain thing. I try and when we train for scenarios. Be impressed with a team that play long, they're in our faces, second balls, a team that are going to drop off and let us have it. It's about creating the scenarios, where our spare men would be, where our overloads would be. But the boys have got to take responsibility for moving the ball quick and penetrating and running harder, and if they do all of that, I'm sure they can be very good.
I think both clubs may be quietly satisfied with the draw as well, because that gives all three teams, I include Chester in this, an opportunity to get through to the second round.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look at the draw, people say, what do you want? First thing you want is a home tie if you can. If you don't get a home tie, you want a game that you've got a chance in. And I think, like you say, all three teams will think if they got through that they would have a chance of going through to round two. And
long journey back in tomorrow night. If you got through, that would make this a lot better. Looking forward to getting back on that coach on Friday morning.
Yeah. You've got to create winning habits, regardless what cup, whether it's FA Trophy, FA Cup. You want to create winning habits, and you've got to start doing things that regularly, consistently give you a chance. We haven't been beaten in 3 or 4 now, whatever it is, but I still want to be better because the better teams are going to punish us if we're not. So there's, like I said at the start, there's still imbalances in the squad. I want to try and rectify. It's a tough market out there at the moment. There's loads of improvements off the pitch, but we're just trying to raise standards on it, and that's why Saturday was so disappointing, because I thought we was, up until the last maybe 15 minutes, we were really flat.
Great, thank you.
Neil, here we are off the back of a goalless draw against Needham Market, a side 2 leagues below you in the pyramid. Do you think maybe there was a little bit of complacency with the players? Because it does happen. You saw Hartlepool, Dorking and Halifax all beaten by lower league teams. Do you think that was possible?
No, I don't think complacency. I think we was presented with a scenario in the game where we had the ball and we could control some of the game, and I just think people started just trying to keep the ball and not force things, and in the end we went nowhere with it in the first half, and that's where I was angry about the intensity that we went forward. You play football for a reason, you pass out from the back for a reason, whether it's drawing the opposition onto you to break lines, but when you do it, you break lines to then go and hurt the opposition where their numbers are shorter, or you create overloads. And we didn't do any of that. We just passed for the sake of passing. We went sideways when we could go forwards. We went backwards when we could go sideways. We forced it when it wasn't on the force, and so on and so on. We made lots of wrong decisions, but we lacked intensity in our work. So I don't think it was complacent. I think we was presented with a scenario in the game. We didn't deal with it or do anything to hurt the opposition in the first half. And then I think in the end we could have won the game. We had enough chances to probably win 2-0 and win comfortably. But we missed our chances as well, and our final pass and our lack of quality was evident.
And you just as you said there, that you probably had enough chances to win the game. You edged it just. Do you feel things maybe just weren't going your way at the time? It was great defending from Needham, but just not going
Needham put everything into it. You know, I watched a few interviews for the FA Cup with various people where they said the opposition come out with a game plan and they nullified us and they stopped us playing and they made it very difficult to break down. And I watched that with various interviews with different people that played against teams that were lower league. It's the FA Cup. No one's going to come and lay down for you. Everyone's desperate to get through the rounds. The financial benefit, the FA Cup's magical. So Needham came and they were excellent defensively. They were sound. I thought we helped them a little bit in that. But I'm sure they're going to cause us more problems tomorrow night going that way. We've got to make sure we cause them a lot more problems than we did going that way.
And well, just looking at the fixtures that you've played recently, you're winning, drawing, losing. You must be so frustrated with the inconsistency that's been shown.
Yeah, and that's what I just said. We've got to try and raise standards in the consistency of our performance. If our quality isn't great, but our energy and tempo and intensity in our work's good, you can sometimes subsidise one from the other and still pick up results. I think, by and large, the boys have worked very, very hard. They've run hard, but we've got some deficiencies, and that's causing some inconsistency in our performances.
And usually when you have Saturday, Tuesday, you've got a bit of time to plan, but not as much this time. This time last week, you didn't know that you were going to have this game. So how do you approach it?
You just adapt, you deal with it, you go, right, we've now got an away game against Needham, we've got to count our bodies, we've got to look at what team we play, look at who's got niggles, who hasn't, whereas we'd have had the week to go through that. We planned even before Eastleigh to travel down on the Friday and train on the way down before the Eastleigh game, and we could have done a lot of our work on the Thursday in match prep ready so that we didn't have to do as much and we could just travel down with a smaller squad on the Friday. But now we're not going to be able to do as much on the Thursday because we're going to be recovering from the Tuesday night, so it messes a lot of things up going into Saturday, makes preparation for Saturday a lot harder, not only physically but tactically. But like I just mentioned, we put ourselves in this situation, let's deal with it.
And there's so much you can do, it's all down to the players, but what can you do to fire them up and try and get an improved performance?
I'd like to think I don't need to fire them up. It's the FA Cup and no one should want to travel 4.5 hours down to Needham to not try and win a game of football. So I don't think I need to fire them up, or I hope I don't. But I do need to sort of show them what they need to improve on and make sure the level of the performance we put in is a lot better, certainly, than the first half. And
so Mitch Hancock's and Scott Barrow, they got placed on the bench on Saturday. How close are they to maybe getting a start, getting a run out there?
Well, it's difficult from both. Scott, he's come back from a long-term injury and he needs a game, but he probably needs a behind closed doors game. For him to get his fitness up, for him to sort of try and get himself to the next level. Same with Mitch, he hasn't played for a long, long time. So they were on the bench because, they're part of a squad and we needed a squad on Saturday. We had a lot of injuries. We've got some players back, so we'll analyse who goes on the bench and who travels. But it's difficult because they haven't had that much playing time and it's very difficult for them to go in to the demands that I'm throwing at the others.
All the players must look at the FA Cup draw. Chester, it's a tough tie, but it's one in a lower division. That must be quite an incentive to go and win tomorrow.
Regardless of who you're playing in the next round, it's the FA Cup. It's magical. You want to win every game, and you want to try and instill a winning culture and a high level, a high performance culture. And at the moment, we're very inconsistent in that. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and we'll just keep chipping away and working at it. And some of it might be refreshing the squad. Some of it is going to be on the training field and getting more out of the players we've got.
You keep saying the squad that you've got, you're not exactly happy with it at the moment. There's players that you maybe want to bring in. I think it's about a month that you've been in the job now. How many players realistically do you think you're going to need to bring in to improve the squad to get it where you want to be?
I think it's a difficult question to answer. I think we've certainly got imbalances in the squad. If you look at, our left back spot, Thierry's injured, we've only got Adam Crooks, we've had to play Paddy there. If our right back got injured, we've got no one there. We've managed to get a little bit of cover in at centre back now, but up top we've brought Marshy in now, but before that we only had Deeps and Len, and we could only keep throwing them out if we wanted to play 2 up. We had nothing on the bench, so there was imbalances there, and yet we had quite a few centre midfielders and loads of wingers. But injuries have taken their toll a little bit now, so I think it's sorting the imbalances out first. The market's not good at the moment, you know, it's not loads of good players available to improve. And then we've got to get through to sort of the January area, and we've got to sort of try and do our work, whether that's some players getting out to play football and some coming in. We'll try and make sure we come out of that sort of window, not that we're governed by the windows, with a slightly better squad, but we can't just keep throwing money at it.
Thanks, Neil.